This collectible Christmas video is sponsored by Me Time Delivered.
Welcome to Creating with Cassie. I'm so excited to have you here today because I'm going to be stitching out another one of Me Time Delivered's collectible Christmas projects. Yay! This is from Me Time Delivered's subscription for 2023 through 2024, which is that beautiful tree skirt and matching ornaments. Isn't that amazing? I'm so excited. So today what we're stitching is the second month. So don't worry, if you haven't subscribed yet, that's okay. You still have totally time. It doesn't matter if you missed last month. You can hop right on and keep stitching with us and just grab last month's and carry on stitching. So if you haven't checked them out yet, it's okay. There's still time. And if you don't even know what Me Time Delivered is, then check it out. I have links below. They're amazing subscription programs that provide machine embroidery experiences right to your door. And they have stuff for people who like quilters called Perfectly Pieced, for people who love lots of cute little tiny projects that are just so much fun, and that's the Bella Box. And then they have their Christmas subscription, which is the tree skirt. So this is what we're working on today. Isn't this going to be amazing? So I'm going to have two tutorials for you. One of them is going to be for the beautiful angel that goes on the wedge or the alternative quilt that you could make. And this one is all about this gorgeous ornament. Isn't it so cute? I know, this doesn't even do it justice. So let's go show you what you need to make this project and get stitching. Okay, so this is everything we need to make our ornament. I did do the unboxing in my video on how to make the wedge, on the angel on the wedge. And so you saw all the rest of the materials that went there. But these are the ones that you're going to need to make the cute little snow globe ornament. So you're going to have the seed beads, you're going to have the string and the bead, you're going to have a piece of vinyl, you're going to have some flexi foam, some tiny little piece of cashmere fabric, you're going to have embroidery cork, you're going to have 3 pieces of white felt, 2 that are the same size, and then a tiny little one, and then you're going to have a piece of blue felt. And this is everything that we need to make our cute little ornament. The first thing we're going to do is starch and press our cashmere fabric, and I am using this starch today. I actually really like it. It is a little bit stiffer than my best press, but not so stiff as some other starches I've used. And you can really honestly use whatever starch you prefer, however you like it best, but just make sure you starch and press this piece of fabric and that it is nice and stiff and ready to be used. And the rest of your pieces in this ornament don't need to be starched, so this is the one piece you have to worry about. And when it's all nice and dry and starched, you can carry on. For this project, we are using that wash away stabilizer, and this has a lot of felt and foam, so I'm only using 1 layer of wash away stabilizer, and I've already hooped that and have it ready in my machine. And the first embroidery step that we're going to do is we're going to stitch the ornament base placement line directly onto the stabilizer. And this is just done with a white thread. Next, we'll take our piece of flexi foam, and if you're not sure which one that is, it's the one that's really squishy. It kind of has that spongy feel, so that's the flexi foam. And we're going to slide that under the presser foot right over that placement line, making sure that we cover it on all sides. Then we'll take our piece of paper tape and just secure it to the stabilizer temporarily until it is stitched down. So I usually put one on the top and on the bottom, just so that I have it tacked down in 2 places with that tape. All right, so once you have it taped, it is time to stitch the tack down line. And that is going to go around and secure that flexi foam to the stabilizer. And it always goes around twice to make sure that it is nice and secure and definitely not going anywhere. Once it's all been tacked down, it's time to trim. So we'll quick remove that tape. If you have some in the stitches, that's okay. It just pulls right out. You can toss that tape away, and then we'll come in and trim. So how I like to trim is I like to make sure that I move my hoop as I trim and that I'm trimming nice and close to that stitch line and removing all that excess bulk. And you can really do this as slow or as quick as you feel comfortable. You just want to make sure you really are paying attention to getting that shape and getting rid of all of the excess bulk without clipping any of those stitches. So I usually take out pieces. And when I do foam, I'm always taking out chunks. And that's okay, it's just how I like to do it. So again, I'll slide my curved scissors in here, trim really nice and close. And if you need to go back and trim out any other little bits, if it's a little bit big, that's okay. It's better to trim that out later than get too close. So, looking good. Then rotate your hoop. So you're cutting on the same area, not twisting your arm in funny ways. And then just come and trim. So I'm going to twist my hoop so I don't twist my arm, and then cut. There we go. And then I look at it and just kind of evaluate my overall shape. So I have a little bit too much right here. So I'm just going to come in and trim. And I use my curved scissors for this because I can cut so much closer than using any traditional scissor. What we're stitching now is the outer scallop placement line. This is step 3 on our machine. And all of this so far has been done in white, just so you know. And I'm just using a regular white from Glide. And I'm just stitching all of this in our neutral colored thread here. So now I'm going to take one piece of our larger felt, they call it the outer scallop felt, and I'm going to slide it completely over that foam and the placement line that we just stitched. And I am double checking to make sure that I'm going to cover everything before I smooth this in place. And I found that felt, if you just kind of press it against that foam, it kind of sticks a little bit, but I am still going to take some tape and make sure that it doesn't move while we do the tack down line. The last thing we want is for this to buckle or ripple or have some kind of issue. So I'm going to secure it in at least 2 places and make sure that I had it nice and flat. If you saw, I smoothed this before I taped to make sure that it stayed nice and flat. And then I can go ahead and stitch the tack down line. And this is done in white. That is what it calls for in the instructions. Now, one important thing to note is we did just stitch the outer scallop tack down line. It does double as a trimming line at the very end. So just keep that in mind, that it only stitched around once because it will be trimmed at a later point in our project. So now that we have that stitched, we can go ahead and stitch the inner scallop placement line, which is going to be just in from the line that we just stitched. You'll be able to see that. And this one is going to stay the whole time and not be trimmed later on. Look, we're already getting the shape of our ornament. Isn't that fun? Now that we have stitched the inner scallop placement line, it is time to place the inner scallop felt, which is the blue felt that we have in our kit. And for those of you who are curious, this is the 5 by 4 inch piece that came in our kit. So I'm just going to smooth that felt, and it kind of sticks, felt sticks to felt a little bit, so I'll smooth it, press it down a little bit, and then I'll put a piece of tape here on the top. And another one, smooth this down and put it on the bottom so it lays nice and flat. And then we can go ahead and stitch the inner scallop tack down line, which will be machine step number 6 for us, and this is also done in white. Okay, now that we have that stitched, it is time to do some trimming. And one thing to note is we are only trimming the blue felt. We're not trimming the white felt. That's going to be done at a later step. So make sure when you're trimming, you're only catching this top layer. Now this is going to be raw edge applique, so make sure that when you're trimming it, you are taking that into consideration. Do longer cuts and don't close your scissors all the way. The more you close your scissors, the choppier it can be. So just kind of glide your scissors along as much as possible and trim close to that stitch line without clipping any of the stitches, but leave a little bit of felt so that it has a nice edge. So I'm going to clip in right here. I always hold my felt taut so I have control over it as I trim around, and then I rotate my hoop as needed. And when I get to a corner, I do close my scissors. I do a nice clip in the corner so it has a nice finished edge there. And then I remove pieces nice and slowly throughout the process to make sure I don't have too much that's getting in my way. Now at this point you can go through and double check if there's anything you need to trim. I'm going to trim this little poofy bit, but just make sure that you're not clipping the white felt. When you're satisfied with your trimming job, you can return this to the machine. Look at that, we got to do so many steps in our white thread, but now it's time to change our color. So I'm going to put in Oyster. This is the color that came in the Sing Noel kit, and it is the color that would be the light brown. So I'm going to quick put that in my machine for the next step. Machine step 7 is stitching the snow globe placement line, and we're doing that in the light brown color or the oyster color that came in the kit. Time to place our fabric, so we'll take that beautiful cashmere fabric and we'll slide it up under our presser foot, making sure to cover that placement line we just stitched completely, and then we're going to tape this in place. Now, because there's a lot of things going on underneath that piece of fabric, we have 2 pieces of felt, we have foam. I am going to make sure that I tape this very securely in place so that we don't have any rippling. So I am going to do top and bottom, and then I am going to do side and side, which seems a little excessive, and it might be, but I'd rather not have any buckling on my cashmere fabric because of the bulk underneath it. So I'm going to make sure it is well secured. And then once it is, we can go ahead and stitch the tack down line, which is machine step 8. This is also done in that light brown oyster color. It is time to trim, so I'm going to remove all of those tapes that we put on there to make sure that fabric didn't move an inch, and it worked really well. So I'm just going to take those and get rid of them, and then we're going to trim nice and close. So I like to start on a corner, so I'm going to hold the fabric taut, cut in, and I'm going to almost press my scissors down a little bit so that it can counteract the poofiness of this, so that I can cut really close. And you want to be close because we are going to have a decorative outline next. Machine step 9 is stitching that decorative outline, and it is also done in that light brown or oyster color. Machine step number 10 is stitching the snow fill on the bottom of the snow globe, and this is done in white, so I put my white thread back into my machine for this step. Machine step 11 is stitching a snowflake fill. And this is done in that light blue color, which is Cloud, that came in our kit. Machine step 12 is stitching some really cute little laurels that add a little bit more detail to this snow globe, and they're also done in white, so I've changed my thread back to white so we can have those cute little laurels stitched on there, and I love it. It's just one of those details that makes this extra special and a little more fun. Okay, for a second here, I just have to pull this out and let you see how gorgeous this is. Look at that! I love it! This is looking so wintry and just fun. Okay, so cute, but there's more to do, so I'll slide that back in. What we're stitching now is machine step 13, which is the scalloped accent, and it's just going to do some cute white stitches to add some detail down here, which we love detail. It just makes these 10 times more cuter when we have all these extra fun things, and it's just a cute little scallopy accent. It's also done in white, so I just get to carry right on. I don't have to change my thread. The next step is stitching the tree trunks, and this is done in the brunette color from Glide, which is our dark brown color. So I'm going to quick change my thread and then we'll stitch it. So what we're stitching now is that tree trunk fill for the cute little trees in our snow globe. We're going to stitch the tree fills next, and that is done in Aloe from Glide, which is our medium green color. Machine step 16 is stitching the snow detail, so this has a little bit of snow going around those trunks, and it's done in that white color. We're just going to let it stitch that little detail. I'm going to grab my ginger color or the gold color that you're using for our trumpet, which is machine step 17. And we get to go ahead and let it stitch that little trumpet fill. I love that they match that. The little angel here has a trumpet, the little angel on the wedge has a trumpet. It's just really fun how well these go together. Machine step 18, we have a choice to make. Again, we are going to be stitching a piece of a project where we get to choose what color we want to use. We're going to be stitching the little face and the little hand for our angel, and you could pick any color that you want. I'm going to use this color called First Kiss from Glide because it's the color that I want for my angel, but you could do so many different colors. You could do a color to match your own skin tone or to match the skin tone of somebody who you think is an angel that you want to give them a little bit of a warm fuzzy because you chose a color that matches them, or just any color that you feel is perfect for your angel. So I've put my First Kiss in. We're going to let that thread it, and then we'll go ahead and stitch it. And this is stitching just that little hand and face. Machine step 19 is stitching a little eye for the angel, and it calls for shadow or a dark gray kind of color. Though, however, you could do any kind of eye color that you wanted. You could customize it. Again, it could match your eye color. It could match the eye color of someone who you feel is an angel or how you see angels yourself. And that's kind of fun that you really could customize this little step. So I'm going to just put that shadow color in. So we're following the instructions for the tutorial. And we can go ahead and stitch that little eye. This angel is going to have blue wings. So I'm going to grab our cloud color that came in our kit, or your light colored blue that you're using, and that's what we're going to stitch the wings in. So we'll do that beautiful blue for little wings, which will be so fun. I love that. This is a slight difference from the wedge. That wedge are white and gold and this one is blue, but it matches this ornament a little bit better. So let's go ahead and stitch those beautiful wings. Okay, so I pulled this out just so I could show you how cute this is looking. Look at all those details. And I know the angel looks a little funny right now because it's just wings and a head and a hand and a trumpet, but look how fun this is turning out. I am loving it. So, okay, I'll put it back in so we can carry on and go ahead and stitch the angel robe, which is next. Machine step 21 is stitching the placement line for the angel's robe. And this robe is going to be white. Okay, so we're going to take our tiny piece of felt, slide it under the presser foot, and we're going to tape this down. I'm going to tape one on each side of the felt, kind of smooth it down, try and get it to kind of stick a little bit by itself, and then just have that tape there to keep it firmly in place. And then with white, we are going to tack the angel robe down. So this is the tack down line. All right, it's time to trim. Now you need to remember there are a lot of things underneath this felt, lots of stitching, so just be careful not to hook any of those stitches with your scissors. I'm going to take my curved scissors and trim nice and close. This is going to be a raw edge applique, so just keep that in mind when you're trimming, that you will see that trimming line. Rotate your hoop however you need to make sure that you can cut nice and close and smoothly so you can get the look that you want. You can always come back in and trim. And I'm just moving my hoop around to wherever I feel most comfortable cutting. So I'm just going to trim over here. And there we go. There's a little bit of fuzzy, so I'm just going to come back through and trim off those fuzzies. And then when I like it, I can put it back into my machine. Machine step 23 is stitching that flowing angel sleeve, and that is done in your cream color. Now the cream color, again, does not come in the kit. You're just supposed to pick a cream color that you love, and so I'm using the linen color from Glide, and I'm just going to slip that on my machine really quickly, and then we can stitch that beautiful sleeve. So what we're stitching now is that sleeve for the angel. Machine step 24 means it's time to stitch the angel hair. The color that comes in our kit for the angel hair is that light yellow, that eggnog color. But again, you really could have some fun with this and customize the hair color again to yours or to someone who you feel is an angel in your life, or even what you think angels look like, and you can just have fun with it. So I'm going to do the one in the instructions for the tutorial, but you feel free to have fun with it. So we're going to go ahead and stitch that angel hair right now. Machine step 25 is stitching the tree fills, and we're going to do that in that dark green color from our kit. It's the color Jade, or it can be the dark green color that you're using from your stash at home. And this is just going to do those final two trees and give us the final details in this snow globe that are stitched, and that's going to be super fun. So, and then we'll go ahead and stitch it. All right, look at that. Isn't it gorgeous? I absolutely love how this turned out. It is so cute. Okay, at this point, we have a very, very important step. We need to get our tweezers and our little snip scissors, and we need to double check all of this stitching to make sure none of it has any jump stitches. So just come in here. I know that there's one right here between these snowflakes, and you want to clip all of these out. And make sure that all of that is nice and trimmed before we put the vinyl over it. Because once this plastic is put over it, I don't know if you can see that, it's there. You can't go in and fix anything. So spend a few minutes clipping, trimming this beautiful thing up, and make sure that there's no strings in there that you don't want there. Once you have finished all your trimming, it's time to open this package of little beads, which are so cute, but you definitely don't want to open it until this point because they would be super easy to lose. So we're just going to open it right on top of our project. And then we're just going to dump them out right here. Ooh, they're gonna stick a little bit. Okay, so these kind of give our snow globe that appearance that it's snowing. So you just kind of want to gather them away from the edges, and they can kind of move around later, but we want to make sure that they're not anywhere where we're going to be stitching. And then we're going to take our piece of plastic. And I like to keep just a little piece of batting or felt that I can use to gently wipe off this plastic, because regardless of how careful you are, there's always something that gets on it, a string, a little fuzzy something, and you want to make sure that it's nice and cleaned off before you place it on your project, because once it's on the inside, it's not coming out. So I just make sure I clean that up really well and make sure that there's no fuzzies. And then I just kind of do like the 2-finger swipe down just to make sure. I'll do that better in camera, sorry. 2-finger swipe down to make sure that there's nothing in there. Okay, once I like how that looks, I'm going to place it over my project, and we're going to tape this in place. So we're going to tape it up on top. Make sure those seed beads haven't moved, and I always double check at this point that there's nothing on my plastic, there's no threads that I just missed, and then I tape it down. Then I tape the edges. And make sure nothing moved, and just have everything nice and securely taped, and we're ready to return it to the machine. Be very careful as you move this back into your hoop that the little seed beads haven't fallen close to the stitch line, which we're going to be stitching right around the snow globes. Make sure they are centralized and they're not near any of the edges. We're going to be stitching the glass of the snow globe down, which is that vinyl with the oyster color from our kit, or that light brown color. So I'm just gonna get that in my machine and then we'll stitch it. One thing I want to note is while we're stitching, these little beads can bump around. Just keep an eye on them. Make sure none of them are sneaking too close to the edge. If they do, just stop your machine and kind of tap them over. So we're going to go and stitch this now, and just kind of keep an eye on the beads while we're stitching. They're going to be so cute. See how those ones are a little bit close on the end? So I'm just going to untape this. I was just watching them, and I'm going to quick kind of nudge them back up before I get over here, and I'm going to keep an eye on them as we continue stitching. Okay. So they did it again, and I'm getting a little bit tighter here, so I'm going to take my seam ripper in here, being very careful not to puncture the plastic, and I'm just nudging them. Go back a little further away. Okay. We have that vinyl tacked down, so we can go ahead and remove that tape. We got the little beads to stay in there, woohoo! Okay, I'm just going to toss that tape away. And then we're going to come in here and trim. Now you want to trim with as smooth of strokes as you can. The more choppy you get, the more this will look less like glass. So you're going to come in and you're just going to try and glide your scissors with mini cuts so you're not choppy, very close to that stitch line, but not clipping any of the stitches. Take the curve nice and slow, and I'm actually going to get rid of some of this excess. There we go. So we're going to go around the curve nice and slow and never fully clip our scissors closed, so we can have a nice edge. So you can double check it. It looks pretty good. I'm excited, guys. We're going to change our thread to our dark brown color, which is brunette from our kit, or whatever dark brown color you're using. And we're just going to get that ready to stitch. Machine step 27 is stitching the snow globe base placement line. We are going to be using our cork, but we're only using a teeny bit of it. Isn't that fun? So look, you have all of this cork to save to make more of these or to use it for other projects. And so I love that. I love that I only use a little bit. I feel like you could get, let's see, 1, 2, 3, at least 3 more. So you could do 4 snow globes out of this one piece of cork. So that's my favorite part. We're gonna grab this and put it on our project. So this cork that we're putting for the snow globe base, we treat just like embroidery leather. It works the exact same way. So we're going to put a little bit of tape there, smooth it over, and a little bit here. If you're finding that your stitches are sinking into your cork, just like the embroidery leather, you can put a layer of wash away topping or iron away topping on top of the cork to help the stitches rise up. You can also switch your needle to a needle that's more appropriate for embroidery leather. So I'm going to go ahead and stitch this tack down line. And this is done still in that brunette color, which is our dark brown. Time to trim. So grab your curved scissors or your duckbill scissors, whichever ones you prefer to use. And we're going to trim this just like we would leather. It is raw edge applique, so make sure that you keep a little bit of an edge here, just enough so that you have the look that you want. And you can make it bigger or smaller depending on how you like your snow globe to look. So I just kind of do a rough cut as close as possible, and then if I want to make it a little skinnier, I will go back in and trim again. It is a little bit tough to be really close up here just because you have so much going on, and so you can come in here after and retrim if you'd like, or you can leave it a little bit thicker on the top. So, and it's just because you have plastic and beads and all this stuff going on. So I'm going to try and get my scissors in here, there we go, and trim it out. Just might take a little bit of detail cutting, but that's more what I want it to look like, so this is good. At this point, it's time to prep our string and our little bead. So we're going to open that package and pull the string out and our cute little bead. Set that aside. We're going to pull this string and kind of just untangle it. And we want our string to measure 12 inches. So I'm actually going to switch my mat for something that has numbers on it. And I'm just going to measure out 12 inches. So you can see that. Just have the string on the end, pull it to 12, and then I'm just going to trim it right there, right at that 12-inch mark. And you know, if there's enough string, guys, look at this. There's enough string, you could make at least 1, maybe 2 more. Okay, you have enough string to make 2 more of these. Guys, look at this. They're so generous with all the stuff they give us. Okay, so we're going to take our 12-inch string at this point, and we are going to fold it right in half. So just fold it in half like that. Okay, so you have the 2 ends here and a fold up there. Then we're going to take the end and we're just going to tie a knot just near the end. Okay, and just secure that in place just like that. We're going to take our hoop and we're going to turn it upside down. Okay, and what we're going to do is take our string and put it up here at the top of our design, and you want this little knot to be at least 1/4 inch in from the stitching, not this cut line. We're talking the inner stitching. So this is your outer stitching line here, which we're going to cut on, and then this is your inner stitching line. So this is staying, so we want to make sure that knot is 1/4 inch in from this inner stitching line, and we're going to tape that in place so it doesn't go anywhere. When you tape, be very careful not to press hard on your stabilizer and pop it out of your hoop. So we're going to tape that in place, and so that that top string doesn't go anywhere either, I'm just going to bend it here and put a piece of tape there so it's not getting in the way of anything. All right, now that we have our little string in place that we can hang this ornament, we're going to take our other piece of felt and line it up so that it covers the whole project and that the little twine is in between, kind of sandwiched in there. Then we're going to take our tape and tape it in place. And we're going to tape this on all four corners because the last thing we want is for this to move, shift, fold, anything like that once it's put back into our machine. And again, be very gentle when you're putting your tape on this, just light fingers, and then we can flip it over very carefully and put it back into our machine. I have threaded my machine with white thread so I can do this final stitch, and this stitch line is going to attach the back and the front together so that they stay in one piece. And all of that stitching that we did, you won't ever see. You'll just have a nice flat back with that beautiful white felt. And it's just going to stitch those together. I'm going to take a second and show you this right here. So what we just stitched, this thread line right here, this outer line right here is the one we stitched at the beginning when we put this felt down so that it was tacked down. And what we're going to do is we're going to trim right here on this outside one, but we're not going to trim this one right here that we just stitched on the inside because that one holds the front and the back together. So trimming here, but not here. Okay, I'm going to start by removing my project from the hoop. And just set that aside. And then the most important thing for me to do is find this string. I need to make sure I don't lose track of this string. It is very important that we don't cut it, so I'm going to make sure I have that in mind, in my head, before I do any cutting. And then I'll take my scissors. And I'm going to trim very slowly right on that cut line. So I've made sure I know where my string is. It's still taped. And then I'm going to cut in and cut directly on the outside cut line. Okay, and at this point I like to cut off and get rid of some bulk. Take my scissors again and follow that cut line directly. And since you're cutting thread, you will get little thread bits that fly off, and that's okay. You can clean all that up in a second. And again, I made it kind of to an area. I'm going to watch my thread right there and then cut off some excess. Keeping an eye on that thread the whole time. Okay, and when I get to the top, I'm going to stop about there. So I'm stopping about an inch away from my string, watching it the whole time where I have it taped, trim off that extra, and then I'm going to come and cut this other side. And if it's not perfect, you can always come back and fix it later. We're just working on the bulk. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to untape my string. And I'm going to cut this layer by layer. The last thing I want to do is cut my string, otherwise how will I hang this up? So I'm just going to slide my scissors here, and I'm cutting a little bit of felt and the stabilizer, and I'm just watching it, and I'm just going to debulk a lot of that. Then I'm going to take my string and pull it forward, pull out any tape that's sticking out, and I'm going to keep that forward while I cut the bulk off this back. So again, I'm going to come and just kind of straight line cut this, watching that string. Okay, now that I have that mostly trimmed, I'm going to move it to the side over here. I just kind of wrap it around my finger so I know I have it, and then I'll come and do the detail trimming right up to it, and I'll come close to it again and cut the rest of this out. Okay, and then you can come in here and just kind of trim out anything that needs done. So there's a little bit in front, so I can trim that and just detail trim, making sure that I'm not cutting that the whole time. All right, so I'm going to spend some time just kind of cleaning this up a little bit. Okay, look how cute that is, guys. I've spent some time just cleaning up the edges a little bit and making sure any little threads were gone. You're going to take your bead, and I'm going to turn it into a spear again. It's just easier for me to thread this bead. So I'm going to take my tape and give it a really tight point here. I do this with paper tape because it comes off so much easier, and then I can push it through my bead. Okay, you just grab the end and pull the tape and the thread through. Then you can just remove that tape. It comes off really easy because it's paper tape. There we go. Okay, so once you get the paper tape removed and you have your bead on, then you're going to tie a knot really close to the bead. So we're going to slide it down so it's close to our ornament, and then fold our thread in, our twine, and just kind of slide the knot down close to that bead so that it ends up knotting right where we want it. And there it is. So cute. The only thing you have left to do is to take your water pen or a cotton swab and make sure the water's coming. See, I always just give it a little squeeze so I know there's water going in the brush. And then you can come around the edges and dissolve any stabilizer that is sticking out. And then I like to always give it a little press so that the little bit of stickiness that's in between the two pieces of felt kind of seals that edge. So I'm going to go around, dissolve any stabilizer, then give it a little press to seal it. And after you've done that, you're all done. You guys, look what we made! Isn't it amazing? I love it. It is just so cute, and I love that it can just match my other ornament from last month, the little Noel, and just hang on my Christmas tree. And I'm so excited to have two of them for this year. I can't even wait for next year when I'm going to have them all, but I get to have two, so that's special. And just look at that cute angel in the snow globe. It is just adorable. I am totally in love with this, and I hope that you have so much fun stitching your own at home. Again, if you don't know Me Time Delivered or the subscription programs, check out my links below. Please like and subscribe and follow for more content. Thank you so much for joining me today. And from everyone at Me Time Delivered and Creating with Cassie, we hope that you go enjoy some well-deserved me time and make something beautiful. We'll see you next time.